in Longview there. As of this evening, 2 people confirmed dead, including a father and grandfather, 9 presumed dead as recovery efforts ongoing to recover those human remains. Joining me now is Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, who represents Washington District 3, which includes the greater Longview area. Congressman, I really appreciate your time on what I'm sure has been an incredibly difficult couple of days. On behalf of all of us at KDW, Congresswoman, I want to offer our condolences. And let me start with this. Give me a sense of how the tragedy has affected people in the Longview community and how it's impacted you personally.
Well, I think everybody, everybody knows somebody or knows of somebody, and it cuts really deep. You know, these are a lot of families. Last night at the vigil, it was clear there were a lot of young kids running around, families and just starting out, and families at the end. And the mechanic world and the trades, like, it's a small world, and so I have friends that I called to check in on, everybody's hurting. It's unthinkable.
Yeah, Congresswoman, what are some of the conversations you've been having with people, and what are they asking you?
Well, from this perspective of families, just more clarity, information, more communication. Everybody wants to know when they're going to be able to bring their family home who's missing. Those are really, it's a very fluid situation with a lot of unknowns at this point, and really trying to stay oriented around the recovery of the missing folks. And then I'm also hearing, concerns like there have been a lot of mill closures and job loss, and so concerns about what is the next month, the next year going to look like for families here. It's a strong community, and it's generational work to build families that are as skilled as they are here in Longview. Working in these mills, it takes a real investment, and we want to see that continue to grow. We want to see our agency and our voice in this continue to grow, and that's what I'm here to do, is to advocate for my families and make sure that we are getting all the federal resources and cooperation that we need here in Longview.
Congresswoman, with the understanding here that we're only about 30 hours in, what are some of the outstanding questions you have that have not been answered, or maybe in your view have not been adequately answered at this point?
Well, the list of questions with regards to the investigation of why the implosion occurred is long and deep, and that's going to take a lot of time. There's a saying that a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth puts its boots on, and I want to be really careful to not sow any seeds of bad information, and also to operate with candor. And so what I do know, especially with regards to families, and just sharing information and what we've heard, and making sure that they're and they've been really helpful to me in guiding my lines of questioning at briefings. And it's also been really encouraging, the people who've reached out to my office with insight, from ER nurses to mill workers across the country, honestly. And so we've been really encouraged by the sense of camaraderie across the country, and especially here in Southwest Washington.
It's always incredible how people step up in the face of tragedy. We did hear from a Nippon Dynawave director earlier who expressed great empathy for the lives lost. He said, these are our people, we will recover them. But he also pledged full cooperation as much as possible. What have you seen? What would you like to see from the company that owns and operates that mill?
Well, I was encouraged to hear, and one of the questions I had was, will mill workers continue to get paid as the investigation and recovery is ongoing? They said certainly during this recovery that things will get harder if people are missing paychecks here, and so making sure that's happening. I'm encouraged by that. I think people want communication from the employer. I think the county coroner here, Dana Tucker's done a great job of being present with families and being on the ground and involved in the recovery. but obviously a coroner's role is limited to giving a family the worst information that they can hear, which is that a loved one is deceased. And so hearing more information from the company directly about what they know and ensuring that those lines of communication are open.
Congresswoman, just a couple more questions here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask about air and water quality. Officials say there's no broader risk to people in the area. I'm sure you're aware there are residential neighborhoods less than a mile away. Are you satisfied with the measures in place to monitor air and water quality at this point?
So what I've understood from conversations with people, in chemistry is that white liquor is not highly volatile. It's a concern when it's like splashed or like the mist of it, but it's not highly evaporative. So we've heard that there's no indication of air quality concerns. From the sense of water quality concerns, it's obviously highly alkaline. I believe the pH is 13, so that's a really dangerous level, especially in these volumes. The somewhat solace is that obviously if it's mixed with water, it is less alkaline, but that is a logarithmic scale. So dilution is not really feasible in the regard of water. Mm-hmm. My understanding is that there's no, at this point, indication that a level of discharge to the Columbia River has been concerned, but it's the drainage ditches, to your point, in the diking district closer to the mill. And those are often mill families who are there, and I was encouraged that they got those signs out and we're working on clear communication to stay out of the ditches at this point. It's a steep grade. It's not particularly inviting for most people to get down there. But we want to make sure that there's no lack of information, that now is not the time to be hunting frogs in the ditches.
Yeah, I hear you there. Congresswoman, State Senator Jeff Wilson, a Republican who's worked at that plant as a contractor, said he wants a prompt, thorough, and transparent investigation. I wonder, what promises can you make to the community tonight in terms of the search for answers and the next steps to make sure this does not happen again?
This is a priority that I will not let slip. The families that I've spoken with, I'm committed to making sure that we get the answers in the investigation and the transparency that we need. And honestly, in my conversations with Senator Wilson, he's been a great partner in illuminating some of this. This is an area that he is very familiar with. I come at it more from the mechanical trade side, but Jeff has a clear understanding on a lot of the chemical questions at hand.
Congresswoman, just briefly before we let you go here, your message to the family suffering tonight, what would you tell them?
I cannot imagine what you are going through, and my heart breaks right alongside of you. And that anything that you need from my office, we are here to chase answers down for you. I work for you, and I'm committed to that work. And please reach out. I know many of you have. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. I've been pretty as active as I can in getting my number out to those families.
All right, Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp Perez joining us live in Kelso. Once again, thank you for your time, and our condolences to you and all of the families in that community. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, much more coverage coming up right after this. A reminder, in that Longview blast aftermath, 2 people dead, 9 people presumed dead. Recovery efforts underway. We're back after this.